Hello again to the second session of the day. So we will be hearing now from Daniel Dellenk, Managing Director and COO. So Daniel is a technology-inspired, customer-centric and goal-orientated senior executive with diverse leadership experience. He supports national, regional and global corporations as well as private equity firms, successfully driving turnaround or growth cases with a track record of managing profit and loss of multi-million euro revenue in consulting, sales, service delivery, business assurance, and technology production. So today he is going to be discussing with us, the operational excellence and how it starts with the right mindset. So it's a great pleasure to have you here today, Daniel, and please do take it away.
Perfect, thank you. Good morning. I hope you are good. I don't know if it's the second slot, which is easier than the first slot in the morning, but I hope you enjoyed last night's dinner and drinks. I also heard that there was a fire alarm tonight running, so I hope that you could observe that there was operational excellence processes in place for the hotel. Today, I'm going to talk about operational excellence, and it's all about the mindset. So what I do mean by all that. Actually, as you have learned, I have 15 years experiences in the IT industry, so and can confirm actually that there's more or less 70% of projects fail. But I want to show you a little bit another swing of why I believe also they fail. And I think it nicely adds to what Jens already told us. So I hope you can take something out of my presentation today. So if we look back in the recent history, we have seen multiple, let's say, difficulties or impacts in different markets and industries. So for example, COVID, financial crisis, inflation, the war, all of that has impacted many of us, many industries, many companies. And I think we all can see two different aspects of that, how companies actually confront those kind of exogenous forces and how they maybe come out of them. One of them may be completely miserably fail. So we need to ask us the question why they actually fail, why they have so much difficulties to adapt to different market conditions. And second is some companies have been able to adapt. And I think there are many market examples out there where we can learn from and see how they have adapted to that changes. So in today's presentation, I want to highlight 4 elements. One thing is I have brought in some data points, which I will share you in a second. What actually is operational excellence, or what are facts or threats around it. Secondly, I want to talk about what I mean and how I understand operational excellence. Third, I will talk about some books that I've read, and I think they give us a nice glimpse on how to impact the mindset and why I believe mindset is a very important aspect of any operational excellence initiative. And fourth, I want to share you some examples I have experienced by my own in my, let's say, company history, where I believe we can learn from how you can implement operational excellence in a company. So let's get started with a quote by Spencer Jones. If you don't change, you can become extinct. And I think that's very essential. And we have heard of the questions as well, that we are all kind of in the situation where we need to adapt, we need to change, we need to understand our customers better, we need to be fast. So I think it's a very important quote, very nicely introduces into the topic of operational excellence. So there has been a study with around 1,000 people talking about challenges ahead in operational excellence, maybe threats why operational excellence projects have miserably failed. And I want to share them with you today. So roughly 60% cited that operational excellence methods are growing in importance and in popularity, which means that there are many companies dealing with projects around it, many companies, and that's why you are here as well, that need to understand better how they can implement maybe operational excellence initiatives and become an operational excellent company. Top 3 drivers that has come out of the study is that customer expectation has become more and more important. So we all know that we need to learn better what are the expectations and what are the needs of our customers. They all also have shown that there's a more competitive landscape out there. We know that there are markets eroding. We have seen there's many more competitors coming from different countries, from different areas. And the last one is digitization. We all have heard the buzzword, but we all know that we need to digitalize, and particularly in Germany, we have seen that digitization is a headache. So we need to talk about that as well. 53% cited that their top critical challenge actually is the company culture. So why that? If you look through many companies and their corporate culture, I would say you can, in most of them, not read operational excellence as one of their mantras or goals. So maybe you can read it in between the lines, but I think it's something very fundamental that it needs to become something of a mantra or a vision, or at least a culture element of it in a company. 36% roughly cited that the top critical challenge was executing actually the projects. And we have learned that 70% of the projects fail. So execution is everything. And that's where we come to the problems. Last but not least, 23% said that it's lack of leadership. So also nicely touching the presentation of Jens. That's coming out of the recent study. So operational excellence really matters. Now, why I believe that operational excellence needs to be not also a strategy, it needs to be actually a mindset. So if we come to the point where we say operational excellence is not the highest level of continuous improvement, it's really a mindset thing. So if you check many companies, and we have asked many CEOs actually from different companies, and most of them actually quote that they have 95% belief that they have a strategy actually in place, which is good. So they know actually where they want to go. But unfortunately, only 74% believe they have actually a strategy in place. So they can tell the strategy, they can explain what does the strategy really means. But only 33 are convinced that it's the right strategy. So it becomes lower and lower. And then to get to the last point, only 50% believe that they have a strategy that they can implement. So I think not very good. So we need to understand that you need to have the right strategy in place, as we also learned from Jens' presentation, in order to actually install an operational excellence initiative. So with that, I want to bring in another quote, which I want to share today, which is innovation and change is not a technical problem. It's really all about the mindset, where it all starts. So let's elaborate that a little bit on some examples that I brought with me from the industry. So all of us know Porsche, but all of us maybe not remember the history of Porsche. So if we remember back in history, Porsche was once close to a bankruptcy. So their difficulties actually to come up and had 14 billion in debt. So what they have done is they installed several projects in order to better understand how they can adapt that change and how they can evolve their cars and their, let's say, vision or envision for motorcycle. So the most profitable car manufacturer comes out of the transformation project. And we can learn that they have really better understood what does the customer really needs and how to translate it in internal projects or internal initiatives in order to adapt and improve. The next one is Apple. I think most of us at least have contact or touch with an Apple product. Some of us has multiple Apple products at home. So Apple also, if you look back at the history, has transformed significantly. Close to, well, a significant problem company where we have now one of the most richest companies in the world, because they have adapted, they have understood what customers really need and how to translate it in internal initiatives and projects so that they come up with the right products and processes. Another one is T-Mobile US. So most likely you are not so familiar with that company or that change, but I also wanted to share and highlight that with you today. So T-Mobile US was one of the last one in the marketplace, losing clients day by day. And they really understood and started initiatives to understand better what does the customer really want and need in order to improve their operational stability. And all of that came through mindset initiatives. So another aspect I want to share, maybe Nokia. If you recall, Nokia has gone through a similar transformation. So Nokia was one of the once one of the wheel producers in the world and has transformed into one of the most important manufacturer of mobile phones. Now it's literally gone again, but you see that there are certain patterns in that different kind of companies. And I want to elaborate that a little bit. What has all these companies in common? Most likely you can continue on examples that you see in the marketplace and maybe in your own industry. So all of that examples have in common that they have defined a clear vision and a clear strategy. And that strategy helped them to clearly prioritize, and we have just learned how important it is really to focus and to prioritize your initiatives. So they have done and defined a clear way how they want to operate and where they want to transform themselves. Second, they have installed a structure, an operational structure that help them in order to scope with their strategy. So they are able actually to execute the strategy in order to go along the improvement. Third, they've installed processes that help to execute that strategy, because you cannot only scope with a vision and a structure, you also need to have the right processes in place. So they have built processes that help them to become an efficient and effective organization. Last but not least, the people. They needed the right people and find and attract the right people and talent in order to operate and in order to execute the strategy, the processes, and also the structure. So if you take that as a learning, let's understand better now what is operational excellence and how I define or would define operational excellence. So for me, operational excellence has different components, and you can maybe add some of them or maybe distinguish some of them. But I think all of them has a leadership and a team component in it, because you need to have, and we learned that as well, a buy-in from top management. You need to have leaders that actually are willing to go the journey of operational excellence. Second, you need to have a change management in place. We all know how hard it is really to find improvements day by day by day, and how to think the whole night or the whole weekend, well, how I can make it a little bit better. You need to have a process in place, a process control, in order to track and measure how really you're improving step by step the processes. Last but not least, you need to have the right mindset. And I come in a minute how you can adapt the mindset. If you ask yourself, well, mindset, it's nice to hear, but how the hell I do it now to change the mindset? So all that leads to, sorry, I forgot one, continuous improvement. So you need to have this mantra of continuous improvement in place to really come to an operational excellent organization. I brought with me another quote. So we believe that people with passion can change the world for the better. That's what we believe. Quote, very important person, Steve Jobs. I think we can all agree that he actually transformed an organization quite significantly several times with innovation, with the right process in place, with the right people in place, as well as with the right measures in place. So one of the books that I brought with me is Who Morphed My Cheese from Spencer Johnson. Maybe hand, who has read the book? So that's maybe 10, 20%. So what I love about the book is really it encourages organization or the reader to get the inspiration how to change and why actually change is needed. So the story, to make it short, deals with two rats that eat cheese the whole day. And of course, suddenly there is no cheese anymore in the room. So they need to find out what we can eat now. One of the rats starts exploring the outside of the room to find something else than cheese. And the other rat was just waiting to get more cheese and to get again more cheese, but there was no cheese coming. The other rat then finds ham and said, well, ham is not as nice as cheese, but I start eating ham and survive. So what we can learn about that book, I think change happens, and we cannot neglect that change will happen in the future. We just learned the last decade that change and disruptive change actually happens even more faster and more rapidly than we expect it to happen. So you need to anticipate change. So I ask you to, in your organization as well, in your marketplace, to have an ear on change, and change will happen. Monitor change, observe, have your eyes open for that change. Adapt to change quickly, something that really can distinguish you from the industry. We are in a hotel, and I think we all can say that the hotel industry had a very rough time the last years. So some of them maybe adapted. I don't know if you have heard the story about a Frankfurter hotel guy who was actually transforming his hotel in a business area. So he put in desks in every room and made it open for people that has no home office in place. So something, I think, a good example how you can adapt on that change. Enjoy change. I mean, change is good. We are all human beings. Sometimes it's very hard and rough for us to maybe come up with another routine, but change can be fun. And be ready to do change quickly and fastly because it will happen all over time. So a book I highly recommend. Next one is by the Abinger Institute, which is called the Leadership and Self-Perception, actually, but it's dealing with the outward and the inward mindset methodology. Who has read that book? Well, okay, great. So think of it like from two angles. So there's the inward-minded person that actually only deals with my own results, right? So I'm the focused person. But instead of focusing on myself, I should also focusing on the outside, right? So that's the opposite, the outwarded mindset. Because normally, if you run a process, I'm not the only involved person, right? Normally, there are many people, many steps involved. So we should ask ourselves how we can completely improve the whole process, not only my little thing. And actually, what I like about the book is it says a very nice quote, which calls, "Mindset drives behavior, drives result." So that's also a very important aspect why I believe mindset really matters, and why I think and encourage you to work on the mindset also on your organization in order to drive operational excellence. Last but not least, Mindset, a book by Carol Dweck. Who has read that book? Also only one, so there's a lot to read. A book which I also highly recommend, it's called, Mindset, and it deals about the fixed and the growth mindset. So we all know, and Carol Dweck actually has done a study with kids, and she found out that there are these two different mindsets, and I want to elaborate that a little bit further. So there are two types of persons. The one thing is the fixed mindset who avoids challenges. And we all know people that, I don't like to change, I don't want to be on the hotspot. And they give up very easily. And maybe they see efforts or changes or work as fruitless or worse. And they really hate negative feedback. They don't take that as an impulse for improvement. On the other side, we have the growth-minded person, right? The growth-minded person embraces challenges. They love to have a challenge ahead. They love to change. They love to persist setbacks. They want really to cross it and to make the improvement happen. So maybe you can ask yourself, what type of person are you? So I give you a minute to inhale and maybe look in yourself. So who's a growth-minded person? Who's a fixed-minded person? No problem. We don't put you on the spot. So, but with that examples, I hope I showed you that you can nicely touch us and work on the mindset, because I think the mindset is a very impactful element of all operational excellence initiatives, and I think it's very fundamental to have the people encouraged and engaged and have their mindset on the right journey in order to make your company successful at the end. So last quote that I brought with me is from John Ledger, and the quote goes like, "Listen to your employees, listen to your customers, shut the fuck up and do what they tell you." And I think that's a very nice quote, because sometimes business can be very easy, right? So you need to understand what the customers are telling you, what the pains in your services and your products. And on the other hand side, you need to better understand how and what is the problem employees are facing in order to implement or maybe execute what they tell you. So when we structure what John Ledger has done in Tomorrow Yes, and this is the last part of my presentation, which I will elaborate a little bit on my journey with John Ledger and the management team in Tomorrow Yes, is customer obsession. We all talk about customer obsession, but I think it's sometimes very hard to frame what does this really mean. So feedbacks are very essential in Tomorrow Yes. They do questionnaires all over the place in order to better understand what does the customer really need and how they can improve their services. The other thing is designing the experience. It's very important to design a very customer-centric journey and experience for your customers. And last but not least, it's really understanding your customers. What are the types of customers? How I can maybe adapt my services towards a different customer group, how I can actually make offerings so they can be attracted. And that was the success factor actually of T-Mobile US to make the turnaround and to become an operational excellent company. So they did a four-way strategy. One is simply make it happen. I mean, we all know maybe large corporations, they have, well, large design signature processes, large boards. There are many discussions all over the place, a lot of politics, and at the end, it just doesn't matter. At the end, it just matters if you come to the execution phase of a project. So simply make it happen. Don't make it too much, let's say, political gameplay. Second is customer and service centricity. So at the end, customer pays the bill. So you need to understand what does the customer and the service really matter and how that can become a continuous priority day by day. Innovation is one key aspect, of course, to distinguish yourself, your company against the marketplace. So innovation is a key element to have the competitive advantage in your marketplace. And to be innovative all over the place is a key element that made T-Mobile US at the end a key factor for success. And people engagement and reliability, and we see now the nice match between the graphics I've shown you before, people really matters. At the end, it's us in the organization that executes such a strategy. So it's important to have the right people with the right mindset in order to get into an execution strategy for your operational excellence project. So that four-pillar strategy or four mantras actually helped T-Mobile US to completely change the wheel, to come from a last position in the market now to number 2 in the marketplace by continuous improvement, continuous operational excellence initiatives, and the right mindset. So, and I give you some nitty-gritty examples of the process or the journey. So we all know when we have a contract of a mobile phone, how bothersome it can be working with our provider, right? They maybe have a 24 months noticing period, maybe they have large contracts, maybe they are very expensive. So it's really bothersome, and they completely disrupted an industry. So they didn't ask why we cannot. They asked what is really what the customer needs and put it into a different kind of a list and started by one and finished never, because it's a continuous process. So there are 8 examples of improvements they did from a contractual standpoint, from a service standpoint, in order to improve and disrupt the complete industry. So transformation needs you as an individual. So that's a ask also for you as a ambassador for your own organization, why operational excellence really matters. So it depends on each of us. So bring the company forward is an ask, and I hope that you can take that away home to your organization and embrace change and the right mindset in your organization. Last but not least, a quote by Charles Darwin: "It is not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent that survives. It is the one that is the most adaptable to change." So if something has taken over, I really want to embrace that changes is needed. So give me and finish the key takeaways for me that I want to give you today in order to bring it back home to your organization. So the foundation is to have the right strategy in place. I think that's what we also learned from Jens' presentation. You have to need the right strategy and the right structure in order to execute the strategy. But at the same time, you need to have the right processes in place. And of course, you need to have the right products and services that scope with the priorities and the needs of the customers. So bringing the right leadership in place, having the leadership enabled and supporting the initiatives, performance management, and I maybe can answer the question from how you can measure it. I've at least experienced it by myself. A continuous improvement, but also risk and quality management is in place required in order to come to a operational excellence organization. So with that, I hope you enjoyed the presentation. And like I said, so mindset is key. So I hope you have gained some ideas how you can transform the mindset and have gained that as a key takeaway. So thank you for your audience, and happy for questions and comments.
A big thank you to Daniel there. Very, very well timed as well. So we will be taking questions from the audience for Daniel now. So please do raise your arm if you do have some questions. Saw someone switch, no? No? Okay,
Good.
Thank you very much, Daniel. Thank you.